What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Boxing promoter and CEO of Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, aka Eddie the Con Artist. I got two words for you, Eddie Hearn. Stop crying. He's making the rounds doing several interviews with behind the scenes and second outs and the boxing voice, doing a bunch of interviews crying, going in on Team Fury, basically blaming them for the failed AJ Fury fight. Basically blaming them for everything outside of the JFK assassination. Basically, this guy is unbelievable. And all I got to say is, the shoe is on the other foot, Eddie. You getting a taste of your own medicine. You jerked around Deontay Wilder in similar fashion. You feel you got jerked around? You jerked around Deontay Wilder and his team in similar fashion. When you play games with the contracts, sending them contracts with no date and no venue, when he was trying to fight you several years ago, probably 2 to 3 years ago to be a little bit more exact. 2 to 3 years ago. And you made it look like you wanted to make the fight. You sent him originally a $12.5 million offer. AJ did an interview saying, hey, Wilder, give me $50 million, I'll sign tomorrow. Wilder got that $50 million for Anthony Joshua. And all Anthony Joshua had to do was sign that contract, and he couldn't do it. Not that he didn't want to do it, but he couldn't do it. Because Eddie Hearn, a.k.a. Eddie the Con Artist, and Barry Hearn, a.k.a. Papa Hearn, made him go away from that contract and not sign that contract. He has no power. He has no say in who he fights. That's obvious. You know, they make all the decisions on who, when, and where AJ fights. That's just the bottom line, everybody. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about Eddie Hearn crying. Stop crying, man. God damn, stop crying. Get AJ another fight. You win. He wins his next fight. Fury wins his next fight. Y'all can make the fight happen in December, which is a better time anyway. I was skeptical about the fight going down anyway in the summer. This guy was leaking to ESPN Knockout that the fight was going to do a $155 million site fee was on the table. Both guys were going to walk away with $75 million apiece, and then $5 million was going to the boxers on the undercard and the promoters. That's what got leaked. But Frank Warren, who promotes Tyson Fury, says that they didn't sign anything. Nothing was signed. So obviously, they still hadn't got to the point where they were satisfied with the terms of the contract. So nothing was signed. So Eddie Hearn making it like, hey, man, everything was good, man. Tyson Fury had talked to Prince Khalid, and everything was rocking and rolling for this fight. This fight was done. How's the fight done when ain't nobody signed the contract? This guy, Eddie Hearn, is unbelievable. He said he's been flying around for 5 months, wasting his time, you know, flying around on the private jet to these different countries trying to make the fight happen, and it's all for naught. He said the only thing that he should be blamed for is believing in Bob Arum and Frank Warren. Being a little bit naive is what Eddie Hearn said in these interviews. He said that's the only thing they can blame him for. Nah, we can blame you for a lot of things, Eddie. We blame you for a lot of things. What took so long for this fight to get done anyway? The fight was agreed to, what, 4 months ago? Y'all agreed to a 50-50 deal? I understand the pandemic was going on, but quit getting on in front of every microphone that you can get in front of saying that the fight is only a few days away from being announced. And then another weekend go by and the fight's not announced. Quit doing that then if the fight is so close. If you would have got the fight done months ago, and that just led me to believe anything that stuff was all bogus. Like I said, Frank Warren said in the contract that the arbitration clause, all parties signed knowing that that arbitration clause was in the contract, that fight could get stopped by arbitration. Eddie Hearn was like, oh yeah, I knew, the world knew, you know, trying to downplay it. Then he trying to The guy is just, it's crazy, man. This guy here, man, I've been seeing through him for a long time now. He got a beef with Wilder. You can tell how he talk about Wilder. Oh, man, Wilder's a poor boxer. He got terrible footwork. He just got the one right hand. Yeah, but he knocked out Luis Ortiz with a left hand in the first fight. Did you watch that fight, Eddie Hearn? The guy ain't just got no right hand. He did get right hand happy in his last couple of fights. I give you that. Don't act like this guy just some one-handed fighter. Some boxing novice that don't know how to box. Look at the Bermain-Stavern fight. He boxed beautifully in that fight. He just got caught up in his own hype, in my opinion, knocking guys out. He knew he just had to touch guys with that right hand. Just like he said, guys had to be perfect for 12 rounds. I just got to be perfect for 2 seconds. So he got caught up in that. But now he's going back to the fundamentals. He's working with Malik Scott. He's working on his footwork. He's working on his head movement. You know, everybody see that in the video. Can he implement that on fight night against Tyson Fury? Well, that's what we all going to be watching in anticipation for to find out. But Eddie Hearn is a hater. He mad because Wilder did not show up. Wilder was supposed to do, let me set the stage for you. Wilder was supposed to go to the UK and work with Sky Sports TV and be a boxing analyst for a fight involving Anthony Joshua, and I believe it was Vladimir Klitschko. Excuse me. And it might have been Carlos Takam. I can't really remember. It's one of them 2 fights. He fought those 2 fights back to back. It was one of them 2 fights. He was supposed to do some analysts, and he was supposed to go there. And he wanted to, after the fight, do a face-to-face with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua like, oh, no, man. I'm focused on my fight, man. I'm not finna do no face-to-face. Security! If he comes to try to get in the ring, I'm gonna call security and get him thrown out the arena. You know, sounding like, you know, some kind of, some kind of owner, 175-pound owner of some kind of restaurant, and somebody show up that he told that's, that they didn't, they're not welcome in his restaurant or whatever. And if he shows up, I'm gonna kick him out. I'm gonna get security to kick him out. He sound like that. Man, you's a boxer. What is you talking about? You gonna call security and get Deontay Wilder, stop Deontay Wilder from entering the ring. So Deontay Wilder caught word of that and didn't show up. And oh man, Eddie the Con artist got mad about that because his plan was for Deontay Wilder to show up there and get his guard dog, Dillian White, to run up on Deontay Wilder and get an altercation started and try to set that fight up. He wanted Deontay Wilder to fight Dillian White. That's the fight he always wanted. He wanted that fight. He didn't want Anthony Joshua to fight Deontay Wilder. He wanted Dillian White to fight Deontay Wilder in the UK. That's what he wanted. In the UK, Deontay Wilder is the champion. He wanted him to come over there to the UK and fight Dillian White. That's what he wanted all along. He's still trying to get that fight done now. But now that Fury is fighting Wilder, and they're fighting for a 3rd time, that fight's been pushed back even further in Eddie Hearn's mind. You notice Eddie Hearn was talking about bringing Dillian White to the United States for his next fight. Now that Wilder's finna fight Fury again, you don't hear him talking about that no more. Now he's talking about Dillian White fighting back over there in the UK. See, that's what all the plan was. He wanted him to fight in the United States, get a little bit of publicity, get his name going in the United States, that being Dillian White, and then have Wilder have a fight with a Charles Martin or Otto Wallin, somebody like that, and then set the stage for a Wilder Dillian White fight at the end of the year. And by this time, he's going to be willing to fight Wilder in the United States. But back then, he wanted that fight in the UK. But I think now he's even willing to have that fight in the United States. But that fight's not happening, not next, and probably, not even in the end of 2021. I don't see that fight happening at all. That fight might not ever happen. And that's the problem with Eddie the Hearn. He's upset with Deontay Wilder. And it goes back to that situation when Wilder decided not to show up in the UK for AJ Takam fight, when he wanted to do a face-to-face after the fight to promote AJ Wilder. That's who Wilder wanted to fight. He didn't want to fight no Dillian White. Dillian White didn't have no belt. He wanted to fight AJ for Undisputed. But Eddie Hearn played games, and he jerked around Deontay Wilder. Now he's getting jerked around, and then now he's doing all these interviews and want everybody to feel sorry for him. Get the hell out of here, Eddie the Con artist. Get the hell out of here. You dosser. Get the hell out of here. Quit crying and get the fight done with Anthony Joshua. He gets through that fight, and then he gets the winner of Tyson Fury and Wilder. And it's kind of funny how he's always basically doing these interviews saying, yeah, once Fury beats Wilder, we can revisit that fight in December. Just basically downgrading Wilder, making Wilder look like an afterthought because he's mad. He's got a grudge against Wilder. But you got a grudge against him, but you want to work with him. You want to promote Wilder. You sent Wilder a contract after you messed over Wilder in the AJ Wilder negotiation. You sent him a 3-fight contract when you first got that $1 billion deal with the Zone. You sent him you offered him I think a 2-fight deal with Brazil and maybe I don't know what it was, Chisora or Dillian White. And then you offered him a 2-fight deal, but there wasn't no assurance that he was going to fight Anthony Joshua. You just trying to get him on the Zone platform because you were trying to launch that platform in the United States because you had promised the Zone that you was going to be able to get a lot of fighters, big name fighters in the United States to sign with him and put him on the Zone platform, and that did not happen. Eddie Hearn, stop crying. This is ridiculous. This is crying and lying. That's all you're doing, crying and lying. That's why I call you Eddie the Con Artist. You live up to that name every time you get a microphone put in your face because you lie. And then, you know, and God don't like ugly. And you see what is going down now. You ain't getting what it's done. And what I can't understand is what people are missing, in my opinion, is why is Wilder and Fury about to fight a 3rd time and AJ ain't fought now one of them? The way people ask themselves that question, why has AJ never fought Wilder? Why hasn't AJ never fought Fury? And why does it seem like when Fury and Wilder negotiate, the negotiations go real smoothly? Ain't no problem. Look how fast this fight got done, the 3rd fight. Right after the judge ruled in favor of Deontay Wilder, the fight got done in less than a week. I know a lot of people gonna say, well, shoot, this is basically a rollover contract from the 2nd fight. They basically already agreed to the terms, in 60-40 deal, and they just upholding the contract. It shouldn't be hard to do that. All Wilder had to do was basically sign his name on the dotted line. Yeah, but they had to get a venue. Well, you know, Bob Arum got that venue reserved a couple of weeks ago because it was taking so long with the negotiation. Eddie Hearn was lying again, talking about the deal was close, and the deal never was close, and it still ain't close to this day. To this day, it ain't close because the contract ain't been signed by nobody that's gonna put on a pair of gloves and get in that ring. That being Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. They ain't signed the contract, so all that ain't nothing but speculation. That's all it is. So Eddie Hearn, stop crying. This is ridiculous. Stop crying. Stop crying and start promoting. Talk about Devin Haney and Linares. That's the fight on the docket for this weekend. Quit talking about AJ and Fury. It's over with. It's done. Revisit the fight at the end of the year if both fighters win their upcoming fights. And that's a big if. Because AJ ain't no guarantee he's going to beat Usyk. Even though Usyk is a blown-up heavyweight, he's a guy that has a high skill level. He could hurt AJ, catch him with a shot he don't see, or he could outbox AJ and win a close decision. I doubt if he does that. I think the fight's close. You know, AJ going to get the decision because AJ is the moneymaker. But it's not no guarantee he wins that fight. It's not no guarantee Wilder loses to Fury. Let's just say the Wilder that showed up the 1st fight shows up in this 3rd fight. It's a good fight. Many people going to act like Fury won that fight going away. You crazy. That fight was close. I think I had Fury edging the fight out. Don't get me wrong. I think I had him edging the fight out. No. He won more rounds, but with the knockdowns, it was a draw. I had it a draw. My bad. He won more rounds. But with the knockdown, that was 2 10-8 rounds. That's won the fight to a draw, in my opinion. I think, I had that fight a draw. But it was a close fight. If it wasn't for the knockdowns, Fury would have won that fight, no doubt about it. But he got knocked down. And he got knocked out, actually, in that 12th round. Why is Jack Reese counting a guy that's eyes rolling in the back of his head and motionless? Why is he counting on him? Any other sane referee would have waved the fight off. But that's neither here nor there. All I got to say is, Eddie Hearn, stop lying. Eddie Hearn, stop crying. Eddie Hearn, get a fight for AJ. Because the summer is coming up. Eddie Hearn, promote Devin Haney with Jorge Linares fight that's coming up this Saturday. Promote that fight. Talk more about that fight and quit talking about what's in the past. This is already done with it. It's basically you crying over spilled milk. You can't unring the bell. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Whatever the cliches is, move on, Eddie Hearn, and stop crying, Eddie Hearn. It's ridiculous. It's sad to watch, actually, and it's sad to see. You know? And the bottom line is this fight was never going to go forward without the arbitrator ruling. And another thing, for these people to act like they surprised and shocked that the arbitrator ruled in Deontay Wilder's favor, not only ruled in his favor, but actually enforced the 3rd fight for Wilder. He had a valid contract. That fight did not happen due to no fault of Deontay Wilder. It was because of the pandemic. That fight was supposed to go down in July. But it got pushed back to October. I mean, then it got pushed back to December due to no fault of Deontay Wilder. It was a pandemic going on, everybody. That's why wasn't nobody fighting going. There wasn't no fights getting made during that time. And Deontay Wilder, being the good soldier that he was basically letting Bob Arum lead the way and try to, you know, get a fight done. But Wilder was willing to fight Fury with no fans. They could have fought in September when the Charlo twins had their pay-per-view. They could have fought then. Wilder had no problem with that. He wanted to get his title back. Many people got it mistaken. They got it twisted. They think Wilder want money. Wilder wanted to get his money. He wanted to maximize his money in the third Fury fight. That can't be further from the truth. Wilder want to get his belt back. Wilder got money. Wilder well taken care of. He got generational wealth. He got money. Money ain't no problem. You know what I'm saying? And anyway, all money ain't good money. He want to get his title back. That's just the bottom line. All these people lying. It's talking about will Wilder take step aside money. He didn't drag Fury ass to mediation and drag Fury ass to arbitration to take some goddamn step aside money. And people want to throw that out like he can take step aside money and Eddie Hearn crying, talking about, man, they didn't even try to give him step aside money. They just basically asked him, will he take step aside money? He said no, and that was it. They didn't really pursue that vigorously. They didn't even try to call us and see if we can maybe raise some money for Wilder, even though Eddie Hearn know good and goddamn well he wasn't going to give Wilder no goddamn step aside money. He basically was saying, Bob Arum, y'all handle that. That's y'all problem. We ain't got nothing to do with that. They wasn't finna do that, and they wasn't finna guarantee that AJ was going to have to fight Wilder if he beat Fury. They wasn't going to do none of that. So Eddie Hearn need to stop portraying himself in that light. Again, Eddie, the goddamn corn artist. That's all he is. Stop crying, Eddie. Stop crying. Stop crying. Hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I holla.